you referenced a large number of bills that have been passed by the House that just go to die in the Senate, won't even be taken up by the majority leader on the Senate side. Could you kind of address that? And do you think that sort of the president's talking point is that Democrats are fixated on attacking him and have done nothing since they got in there? And also he seems to have this daily controversy that the media gets focused on, and you don't hear a lot about actions in the House. Can you talk about the frustration, the situation the House faces?
I mean, again, it was a bumpy start to this Congress because of the partial shutdown, and that kind of inhibited, some of the committees from getting sort of up and running maybe, in that first month there in January. But since then, I mean, they're actually moving very smartly in terms of a whole host of issues. It's about almost 200 bills that are in Mitch McConnell's inbox right now. Some of them, to give you an example, that are non-controversial is Stop the Robocalls Act. When we announced the passage of that bill on our Facebook page and social media, it just blew up. I mean, people are desperate, for the telecommunications companies to work with the FCC to get, to stop stuff that's going on there. Why you can't get sort of some like a response from the other chamber on stuff as non-controversial as that is just, in my opinion, a perfect example of how they have just no interest in terms of doing anything other than confirming judges. There's been a few veterans bills that we've been able to get across the finish line. The Blue Water Navy Veterans Act, which I was lead sponsor of for many years, and Julia's reported on that. We got the 9/11 first responders bill done, which again, Jon Stewart had to pretty much embarrass Mitch McConnell to get that bill brought up for a vote in the Senate. But other than that, I mean, they're really, and just sort of keeping the lights on spending bill that we passed to end the shutdown. The Senate has just been a graveyard, and Mitch McConnell is, proudly boasting. He calls himself the Grim Reaper for that. So, in this region, obviously the defense authorization bill is a big one, and we completed consideration in the House. The Senate did pass its own version, a very truncated process. They allowed no amendments during that, but nonetheless, we're going to start conferencing that during the break, at the staff level, and Adam Smith, the chairman, and Inhofe are determined to try and get that done. So there are a few sort of bright spots, but again, the president is wrong. When he says that nothing is moving here in the House, and some of it you would expect because we voted to raise the minimum wage and to have pay equity. Rose's bill in terms of gender pay equity, and those definitely fall in the sort of partisan sort of realm. Again, on the Raising the Minimum Wage Act, which we haven't touched since 2007, the federal minimum wage right now is $7.50 an hour, and that is the minimum wage for large parts of the country, and frankly hurts states like Connecticut in terms of a competitive disadvantage that it creates for us because we just pay lower wage workers at least more than $7.50 an hour. The fact that they won't even respond with it, okay, we don't like $15 an hour. We'll come back to you with, phasing it in over 7 years at $12 or $30. Just nothing, happening over there. And we're hopeful in a couple of other areas that we're going to start the process for a higher education reauthorization, which Lamar Alexander is the chairman of the Education Committee in the Senate, former Secretary of Education under H.W., and really would like to do a higher ed bill before he leaves the Senate because he's retiring. We'll see. Again, another issue that screams out and it has crossover appeal to Republicans and Democrats in terms of higher ed costs, and we've talked about that in the past here. And there's some great ideas that we're going to write up on the Education Committee, but it is really. I've been through quite a bit of time of gridlock in the years I've been there. This takes the prize, no question about it. And it's to me the political logic of it for McConnell with more senators to defend than last cycle, where the Democrats were more defending more seats there. It doesn't make sense to me because he's not giving his people much to take home with.
If the tactic of embarrassing him worked on the 9/11 bill, why don't you do that more often?
No, I mean, I think you're going to see that. Again, it's great to have a star power, like Jon Stewart to do that. And, the Blue Water, the veterans groups, just, 17 years they've been waiting to fix that foot on the ground rule. And, again, they just refuse to take no for an answer. So I do think that external pressure is still probably the best recipe. The Cadillac tax, which we talked about earlier, again, you're going to see that external pressure with that coalition as well. But frankly, it's just it's an important message to people that engagement matters. And even if you agree with me or Murphy or Blumenthal, you still should email and ping offices because that all sort of has a ripple effect in terms of just trying to get movement.
That Moscow Mitch seems to have had
yes,
there with
absolutely. No, that was I think it was a Washington Post column that used that. That struck a nerve.